it'll come back to me.
So when they say any second, you just no, they know that I'm going to say it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the annual Electors meeting for 2025. Thank you for being here, for a strong turnout of community members interested in their community and wanting your voice to be heard. So I will open today's formalities by officially acknowledging the Kepikal people, the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet today, and acknowledge their continuing connection to land, waters and sea, and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. In attendance today we have all councillors with the exception of the Shire President, so I'll just introduce them in case you don't know who we all are. Councillor Leonie de Haas, Councillor Wes Graham, Councillor Steve McMullen, Councillor Shane Flanagan. Actually, I won't confuse the issue. This is the acting CEO, but normally the Director of Asset Management, Matthew Walker. This is Councillor Connor Davies, Councillor Gemma Johnson, Councillor Sam Starcevich, Mrs Felicity Baxter, Director of Corporate and Community Services, Mr Roy Greaves, Director of External Services. So we have a full team with the exception of our Shire President, Ron Chambers, who's on grant and leave of absence, and our CEO, Mr Shane Birch. But I would like to make special mention, if you wouldn't mind waving your hand, Ian Nicol is in the room today, and he is a Freemason. It is a long service to this community. Thank you for being here tonight. Okay, so we're up to item number 4, and just so you all know, because I believe that you're here because you've got something to say, so you'll be able to move your motions at item 6, public question time, because then we'll go into general business and take questions from the floor, and you can move motions. So the next one, we've got 2 to do though today. We need to confirm the minutes from last year's meeting, and then we need, the purpose of this meeting was to receive the annual report. So item 4, confirmation of the minutes. Do I have someone prepared to move that the minutes of the annual Electors meeting held last year on the 6th of February 2024 were to be confirmed as a true and correct record? Is there anyone prepared to move that motion? Thank you, Christiane Smith. Would anyone like to second that motion? Thank you, Nellie Singer. Is there any debate required on this, or would you like to vote on it? All those in favour, show of hands please. Thank you. That is carried. So that brings us to the purpose of the meeting, which is to receive the 2023-2024 annual report. It is a large document. It outlines how the finances of the Shire were expended against the council plan. And rather than read a few hundred pages out to you verbatim, I would just read towards the end of this document. There is an Auditor General's independent auditor's report, and I will read the opinion of the Auditor General for you tonight. I have audited the financial report of the Shire of Esperance, Shire, which comprises the Statement of Financial Position as at the 30th of June 2024, the Statement of Comprehensive Income, Statement of Changes in Equity, Statement of Cash Flows, and Statement of Financial Activity for the year then ended, and the notes comprising a summary of material accounting policies and other explanatory information. So again, this is the auditor's opinion. In my opinion, the financial report is, based on proper accounts and records, presents fairly in all material respects the results of the operations of the Shire for the year ended 30th of June 2024 and its financial position at the end of that period, in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995, the Act, and to the extent that they are not inconsistent with the Act, Australian accounting standards. So that was Carly Meager, Acting Senior Director, Financial Audit as the delegate for the Auditor General of Western Australia. So in their opinion, the audit has been conducted and is a proper account and record of what has happened for the year. Before I ask if anyone wants to receive this, the point of this meeting is for you to be able to ask questions of us about what's happened over the past year with respect to this report. So, do I have any questions relating to the annual report that you might wish to get information about? Do I have anybody wishing to move a motion to receive the annual report? Thank you, Mrs. Zimmer. Would anybody like to second that we receive this report?
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour of receiving the annual report? And that is carried. Thank you. So that brings us to potentially why everyone is here. Item 6, public question time. Are there any questions from the floor? And if you could, when you ask your question, please just state your name for the record, and our executive assistant will come and give you the microphone.
Does it? Good afternoon, Dr. Kerry. My question, I haven't seen the current report, but my question relates to what I saw before, which was that about $200,000 have been set aside for reef creation around the jetty. And I was wondering what stage that process is at, please.
Thank you for your question, which I'll refer to our acting CEO, who's also the Director of Asset Management.
Thanks for the question. Through the chair, we're working with Recfish West on developing that, so that we'll put a formal submission into the federal government, their environmental department, to get a setting up permit which we require to put the reef around. So we're progressing the permit requirements before we can do the work. So it's still progressing. It just takes time to go through that process.
Thank you.
Any supplementary questions to that?
No, that's right, I can speak. Do you have an idea of time frame that give you some guideline as to how long that might take?
We've been asked for supplementary information. I'm unsure on the exact time frame, but it would be a number of months, from my understanding.
Thank you for your help with that. Mrs. Sen, would you like to ask a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair and councillors. My query and concern is regarding the Esperance Cemetery. I'd like to make a statement first, just sort of flesh out some of my thoughts and feelings, so that then I would like to ask some questions and move a motion with your indulgence.
The standing orders do allow for explanatory
Thank you.
statements to explain
Thank
questions.
you. Several weeks ago, I had the need to visit the cemetery because my elderly parents both passed away last year, and I would like to put them in the niche wall. So I took a visit to the cemetery, and I hadn't been there for 12 years. I was shocked. I was so flabbergasted and disappointed about the standard of the cemetery. It is in poor condition. I spent most of my time that morning around the niche wall. It's a very dead rose garden full of plastic flowers. I'm quite wordless about the whole situation. I was a councillor 20 years ago, and it was when the niche walls were being built, and there was kind of a pride in the cemetery. And I feel as if the community is being really let down. We have a beautiful foreshore, all this money spent and the tourists come, but we go 2.5 k's up Pink Lake Road and find this place that's sad. And I just can't actually put my parents there. I feel so upset by it. I, as you probably know, wrote to all of the councillors and the CEO, and I asked a number of questions. That was on the 13th of June, and I did enclose a photograph. And I asked some questions, which I will put forward again now. Does council intend to implement the cemetery management plan? What is the budget allocation for the cemetery? This is the most important one to me, when was the last time there was a site visit by council? And if it's not been in this current term, when will council have a site visit to the cemetery? Because I think if you go there, and you don't go there unless you really need to go, but when you do, and you've got a loved one you want to put in there, it's really horrifying. So I will now like to move a motion, unless any councillors or staff are going to answer any of my questions.
I'd love to answer your questions first, if I may. Firstly, of course, I want to express my condolences for your loss. It sounds like a really difficult year to lose both parents in 1 year, and I'm sorry that it added to your grief when you went to the cemetery and found it in the state that it was. That didn't help. Thank you for sending through those questions via email when you did, and please be assured that council took your concerns seriously. We have a delegate, Councillor Sam Starcevich, is on our cemetery working group, and she went and conducted a site visit on behalf of council and agreed with you about the state that it was in, and we were advised this morning by the acting CEO. Oh no, actually you gave us the briefing this morning on the works that have been done out there. There has been a lot of effort put in recently to try and bring that up to standard, and the staff have recommended that council allocate an ongoing yearly budget to continue that. And the next working group meeting will get us from we'll get the master plan locked in so that they can decide exactly what that budget allocation needs to be year in and year out.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, would you accept me to move a motion now?
Please.
Thank you. That council commit to a landscaping plan with capital investment.
Would anybody like to second that motion? Would you like to speak to your motion?
I would, because having read the master plan that was never endorsed in 2015 and the current one that came out at the end of last year, there's been very little done, and doing a little bit of investigating myself, I can see that the cemetery's become one of those things of who really wants to do this, and it's gone from department to department, and I feel as if it goes to that area where the landscaping is doing, it's going to be done, is where it needs to be. And if it goes into, it comes under reserves, and it can be treated like reserves are treated, I think it will get the money that it needs, instead of just being, who wants to do this, which department wants it. So that's how I feel about it. Make it a reserve, get the landscaping plans done, and let's have a cemetery we can be proud of, because it's not only us locals, visitors, interstate visitors, or anyone likes to come and visit a cemetery at times. So, yeah, that's how I feel, and I think I have the whole community on my side. I think everybody would feel the same. I don't think the person in this room or in the community would say, oh no, we don't care about it, or no, too bad about the cemetery. We all need it. We're all going to be there one day, perhaps. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any speakers against that motion? Would
I would just like to oppose, I don't say that you're wrong, but I also have to visit that cemetery a lot, and I think it is actually quite a beautiful space, and I'm happy to go and sit and have lunch there. Yes, I agree there needs to be a plan, and that plan needs to be implemented, but I believe that it is a beautiful space to just go and sit with my loved one. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents forward.
Would the seconder like to speak for your motion?
Along with Nellie, I feel like she does, that there hasn't been enough time spent. There is a lot of, we find it on the busy bee days out at the cemetery, there's a lot of artificial flowers growing around. Generally, it's a lovely, peaceful place to be, but it does need a lot more work. And one of my gripes is that I'd like people to have access to it. The gates are shut during weekdays. And as I understand it, we have a caretaker there, and there should be no reason why people don't have access to drive in, because a lot of people in Esperance can't actually walk that far in to see the people. So I would like that back to how it used to be not that long ago. It changed. But I'm with Nellie. I spend a lot of time at the cemetery, and I do notice when we're there, there is a lot of rubbish around the graves, and I know that you're trying to implement people not leaving all that stuff there. I know that's a really hard thing to do, but definitely the niche wall and the rose garden needs something done with it. Money spent to do something with it. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for that. Is there a speaker against the motion? Because there was a speaker against the motion, would you like the right of reply? Oh, was there a speaker against? Oh, no.
Yeah, Chrissy was speaker against, so she had right of reply. She's not wanting to.
The move against right of reply.
Oh, yeah, and the lady that spoke, yeah, sure, and it's his personal opinion. I was really looking at that niche wall area. That was my focus on the day, and I think the actual lawn area is probably okay when the grass is green, yeah, for sure, and there's a nice gazebo, etc. I think I'm actually talking about that entrance and the fact that it's just been left. Yeah, so hopefully we can all really enjoy going out there. And, we can have a cemetery that we can be proud of, just like our foreshore and some other beautiful cemeteries that we find in our state.
Thank you for that. There being no further speakers for or against, I take it you're ready to vote. All those in favour? That is carried. Are there any other questions from the floor?
I've got a motion,
Did you have a question?
not a question.
Just a submission or a proposal.
All right, we've got another motion. Sorry for the small questions. We'll go to the next motion. Is this the one that we have a copy of?
Yes.
So I'd like to move a motion that the electors of the Shire of Esperance at the special electors meeting held on the 4th of February 2025 hereby resolve to 1. Council publicly oppose the South Coast Marine Park, given that over 50% of the affected electorate have mandated the state government to stop all negotiations relating to imposing restrictions upon the electors on the basis of establishing a marine park. The Shire publicly declare its opposition to the South Coast Marine Park. The Shire formally communicate to the state government that the marine park lacks public support and legislation enabling the park should be reversed. 2. An independent investigation into the community consultation process. We would like full transparency of Pew and other international organisations, full involvement in the recommendation of this area and the science they put forward, and the drafting and implementation process, as they are foreign organisations to Australia.
Thank you for that. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Do you need us to state the name? Could you just please state your name? We've got
With the microphone.
Vivek Manstead.
Thank you. Would you like to speak for your motion?
I have some background and supporting information. So, on the 26th of November 2024, Honourable Sophia Mamond, MLC, advised the Legislative Council, quote, "The Oceans for Everyone Association has collected 6,366 signed mandate letters addressed to our Parliament demanding a stop to all negotiations in regard to the proposed marine park. It has also written to the Attorney General and our Governor with the collection of mandate letters representing the majority of the population within the shires of Jerramunga, Ravensthorpe, Esperance and Dundas." End quote. 2. Placement of the park is for political purposes and not based on science. In the Shire's own submission to DBCA, it was stated, quote, "The Shire believes that the current draft of the South Coast Marine Park Plan and associated zoning fails to adhere to Council's expectation of a balanced approach to planning and does not reflect the well-balanced marine park the government has been promising. This is primarily due to the absence of vital triple bottom line information, scientific data analysis that underpins the reason for the proposed sanctuary zoning size and placement, and a thorough socio-economic analysis, end quote. Although there was absence of a triple bottom line information, the Shire failed to voice their opposition to the creation of the marine park. Point 3. The coastline in question is already sustainably managed, remote, and has a low population, raising serious concerns about the necessity of the marine park. Point 4. Green ammonia is toxic to aquatic life with no way to minimise harm. A green ammonia hub and international exportation mooring is being permitted inside the South Coast Marine Park when this poses a huge threat to marine life, while locals' basic rights to fish, operate local business and contribute to local economy have been restricted. Point 5. Now a marine park is in place, the DBCA Director General has the power to restrict or prohibit a wide range of activities in the park, including foot access, vehicle access, anchoring or mooring vessels, operation of vessels, and launching vessels. And that's CALM Regulation 5. None of these require public consultation. Point 6. Boundaries of a park can be amended by the Minister for Environment at any time. The procedure for this is publishing details of the changes, inviting the public and local government to make submissions, the Minister for Environment receiving a report on the submissions from DBCA, and obtaining the agreement of the Minister for Fisheries and Mines before implementation. And that's the CALM Act 1984, Section 1411 and Section 17.2.
Thank you for that. Are there any speakers against this motion?
Thank you. Lorianne Shibish here. For 2 years, I was in this community as the Community Engagement and Information Officer for the proposed marine park. I can tell you that during my 2 years in this role, I engaged with more than 5,000 people across this South Coast area where the proposal was for the marine park, and overwhelmingly spoke to a majority of people who were in support of the marine park. These are all documented and are in reports with DBCA. So yes, there is a very vocal group who do oppose the marine park, but I think that a good balance has been achieved here through 2 years of process, through the Community Reference Committee, through the input by sector advisory groups who represented not only commercial fishers, but specific sector advisory groups for the Abalone Group. Recfish West was there, WAFIC was there, representing the commercial interest. The Purse Seine Fishers had their own sector advisory groups. There was a scientific reference group with people from the University of Western Australia providing scientific data. The process was the most exhaustive and most comprehensive process that a marine park has undergone in the state of Western Australia. And at any time, people had opportunities to provide for that process. So I would like to oppose this motion because I believe that the broader community did have opportunity and multiple opportunities to provide input, that they did provide input. And I think that at the end of the day, having a position of no versus a position of compromise where individuals were able to have input, where compromises were reached, where the minister did change the proposal from the very beginning in the early stages of the draft by taking into consideration for all of those people that provided submissions and then did make adjustments. And the other thing I wish to say, there's a lot of focus on Pew, but what a lot of people don't realize is the reality behind the group that was helping with the community, with those that did support the community, was Save Our Marine Life. Now, Save Our Marine Life is made up of approximately 24 Australian marine-related organizations. They're Australians. They are people who live in Australia, people who work in Australia. They do work with Pew And unfortunately, I think that the misinformation that has been circulated through social media and through other means has been a real disservice to this community because people don't understand the truth behind who the organizations were and what was occurring. So when you realize that the truth is that it wasn't just Pew, who yes is based in America, that Save Our Marine Life and the other 24 Australian conservation, marine, scientific groups that are part of that organization always don't get a mention. They only ever talk about Pew and they vilify Pew because they have an American association, when in fact it was majority of that organization that was the sector advisory group are Australian organizations, are people who care about Australia and Australia's marine environment. So these are the reasons why I oppose this motion.
Point of order, we just can't take comments during the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't
Sorry to interrupt. Would you like to finish?
Oh, that's fine. Thank you.
Apologies for that. Just raising a point of order. Would the seconder like to speak for the motion?
Another opposition?
Second.
I'm involved in the commercial fishing,
Point of order for the record. This is Yvette Manstead.
and our family was involved in some of those meetings, and the information that we provided was ignored. And in actual fact, some of the sanctuary zones were put in the areas that we specifically requested that they would not go. Also, we, as a commercial gillnetter, we've already got 33 sanctuary zones that protect the sea lines, that covers 7,300 square kilometres. That was all, we couldn't fish in them beforehand. So now with them and what's been taken off us, another 20%, it's really going to stretch all commercial fishers and to some point some of the recreational fishers. We were never, during this whole process, we have not seen any scientific data or socio-economic type research to justify or warrant this marine park. It was a political promise to the Greens, is my point of view.
Thank you to the seconder. Are there any other speakers against?
My name's Colin Ingram and I live in Esperance. Immediately before moving to Esperance, I was the manager of planning for DBCA and was involved in creating marine parks across the state, including a plan previous to Esperance, which was in the Buccaneer Archipelago. And I guess from that experience, speaking from that experience, I can tell you that the marine park will go ahead. And this motion will do nothing to change that. And I think the comments and the feedback from the community to the department and from the minister, through the Shire and through others, has been very clear that the community were not fully engaged or properly engaged in that process. And I think the community engagement process failed the local community. But nonetheless, the marine park has been created and it will go ahead. I think it's now time to put that behind us because there are opportunities that exist as a result of the creation of that marine park. And it's no point in dwelling in the past when those opportunities require a positive attitude towards the marine park. Marine parks can't exist and can't thrive without community support. If the community wants to continue to resist the marine park, then it will get what it achieves, which is not what it can do by maximising that through taking a positive attitude. So I think the approach, rather than continue to dwell in the past, is to look at what those opportunities are and work with the state governments, agencies that are involved, particularly fisheries and DBCA, who haven't worked well together during this process. In fact, it's been diabolical, their relationship. And so if the Shire can do anything, it's to try and bring those parties together, because the success of the marine park will depend largely on how fisheries and DBCA work with Dalarak to develop this joint management park. So let's be positive, let's move forward and not dwell on the past.
Are there any other speakers for the motion?
Yeah, I'm for the motion. See, I'm Ben Wilmot. My biggest concern is that we have followed this whole marine park issue from the start, and every time we want answers, we don't get it. We even been to the marina when you went on the boat to go out to some island, and we wanted answers when you come back. We didn't get anything. You just diverted to Bandy Creek and ran off like little girls. And all that we wanted was answers. So what's going on? That's what we want to know. And we just want answers, simple as that.
For the record, that wasn't us on the boat.
I don't. We don't care. We just want answers about this marine park. And we want to know what's going on with our city.
Is there a speaker against the motion? I'm Karen Milligan. I was on the Marine Park Community Committee, and I'm a long time, 20 years of Esperance diving. I'm obviously very supportive of the Marine Park. What I want to say here is, when we all went on the committee, we thought we were going in there batting for fishers, batting for the community, batting for the marine life. We just wanted something really special because we think our ocean is really special. I agree with the fishers that there's room for everybody in this process. And if in the next process the fishers feel they need some support in terms of working out lost territory or whatever, I think that that's something that they should be supported in doing. What I didn't like about the whole process is the mental health of the town. It was really exhausting, it was really nasty to some people. I was going through my own personal recovery from my husband's shark attack, and it was just not the right thing. And I just saw the trauma going through the whole town. This process was so disastrous for the town. Now, my position now is, I think we've got 2 years before it's implemented, where we should work as a group to get the best outcomes for the fishers, for the community. I'd love a little close place near town for the school kids to be able to snorkel in safely and see fishies. That's the sort of thing we could do as a collective, and maybe that's something that the Shire could really push. Based on the fact that it's already gazetted, to change a gazetted bill, you actually have to go through the whole process again. And I do not think a Liberal, a Labor or a National Party government would have the appetite for that, and I think the town can't afford to. What I think now should happen is we all work as a town. We've got a beautiful town, everybody's really passionate about it. If we work to get as much good stuff, as much money as we can into the town based on the park, as much support for a really vibrant fishing industry, I just think we would have a world-class example of something really, really fantastic. That's what quite a few of us were in trying to achieve. This internal fighting does nothing except disturb the community, and the community needs a break from it. It really does. And we need to be talking, working, and I think the Shire could do something really fabulous in that direction to get something great going. There's a lot of opportunity in this for everybody. That's all. I just thought I'd say that. So that was a speaker against the motion. So is there a speaker for the motion?
against the motion.
That was against the motion. Is there a speaker for the motion?
I'm Michelle Gray, born and bred in Esperance. We're also in the fishing industry. We mainly catch pilchard. From the way I see it, it's an election promise pandering to the UN, 30% parks by 2030. They've picked on this part of Western Australia because of the low population. Why don't they put it on the West Coast where it's really needed? I was talking to a DBCA man and I said, why don't you do the research so you've got baseline data before you start putting in sanctuary zones without baseline data? And he said, oh, that's not how it works. You need a marine park to get the funding. We'll just change the rules so you don't need a marine park to get the funding. Why do you have to lock it all up where the government officials can change the rules without much notice? They only have to consider people's submissions and then they can do what they like. The Fisheries Department already has all the tools necessary to change things if need be. They can stop us fishing at the drop of a hat if they're like with the pilchard death, boom, you're not allowed to fish. And they've got all the tools necessary now to deal with that sort of thing. If there's pressure with tourists, say at maybe Lucky Bay, I don't know, but I'm sure there's already rules in place to deal with that. Why do you need a marine park covering that vast expanse, 1,200 kilometres from Bremer Bay to the border, when there's hardly any fishing pressure? There will never be any more commercial fishers, it's already locked up. I think there's 12, you're never going to get more than 12. And of those 12, they're all small family operations. The impact on our fishery, even though the Minister changed the zones, for example, if we drift into the little triangle that's at Woody Island, even though my son doesn't intend to drift into it, but if you look at the winds, okay, once I put my net around the fish, I can't do anything about it. I just have to drift. He was told that, oh, that's all right, we've got a buffer zone. And he said, well, how big is that? And I said, 200 metres. And he said, oh, well, we drifted 3 miles last night. So he may drift into the sanctuary zone, and it's, I think it's $50,000 and 10 times a day of catch, so that's about $100,000. And it will happen. So, the way I see it, we don't need it in this part of Australia, and no, I'm not opposed to a properly planned, evidence-based marine park, but this isn't it. That's all.
Okay, we're up to a speaker against. If there's anybody who wants to speak against the motion, up the back, please.
Oh, hi, Mark Payne here. When it comes to baseline data, I've been commercial fishing for 50 years, and we don't have any baseline data. We never had fish returns up until the 80s, and they weren't compulsory, they were voluntary. We never started doing voluntary fish logs or returns until about the 90s. And it wasn't until around about the 2000s before compulsory returns become something that we do now. We don't even have recreational data at all on catch. So we're running that far behind the 8 ball on data, and that's correct. We don't have the data. We don't have the baseline data. The only real thing we've got is to lock away a couple of centuries so that we've actually got a baseline to work with. Now, I just want to go on about what Karen's saying before. I reckon the Shire should let this go. It's been a really, really horrible time, especially for me and my family. I put a post up the other day just to get an electrician to give me a hand, a safety issue on my boat. And I just got absolutely peppered for it. My wife went to the local fair and put up a really nice post about Narman Pete's fruit and veg shop, and they peppered the hell out of Narman Pete. And this is coming from the Stop Marines Parks group. So I reckon this is like a super toxic issue. I think we need to let it go. I think we need to move on. The community suffered enough. You know, there's a lot of people that have suffered. There's Aboriginal children that have been pulled out of school. Their parents have had to leave town. You know, enough is enough. How about we just move on and let's all get on and make this community a bit better of a place to live in.
Can I speak again?
So that was a speaker against the motion. Is there a speaker for the motion
Yep.
that hasn't already spoken in the third row?
Hi, I'm Shireen Cooper, a professional, university educated. My partner and I moved to Esperance as a way of life. We've been here 9 years, and I've lived in all parts of the world, travelled to America last year, and it just makes me so angry when I see that what we do here, or parts of Australia, in America, they don't even recycle in some of the states we went to. The way of life in Esperance is the way of life we chose. If you live in Queensland, which I have, the seasons, that beautiful weather, 12 months of the year. The seasons here dictate sustainability. We can't go out 12 months of the year on the beach to camp. No, it's too windy. It's rough. It's too cold. So nature dictates the environmental aspect in this town. I love living here, and I hope I don't have to move, because we chose the freedom of the lifestyle that we have here. Thank you.
So that was a speaker for the motion. Is there a speaker against the motion?
Doug Derry. Again, a local professional, PhD, done some research. So I understand you need to have some baseline data when it comes to any sort of subject. I think like Mark was saying, you don't need baseline data, you just need to talk to fishermen that have been out there for 30 years and they have catch limits by boat. Now we've got quotas, sizes, seasons and that sort of stuff. So that tells me straight away that there are less fish out there to be caught than there were 20, 30 and 40 years ago. So my real thing is that I want my grandkids to be able to experience the joy of fishing here in Esperance, like I have and like my grandparents have done it. But if we continue to extract the amount of fish that we are extracting, then the trajectory is pretty obvious based upon past experience or practicalities rather than baseline data. The other thing is, as a scuba diver, I think we're of the few people that actually seen underneath the water what it is that we actually are protecting. And I guess that for me is a big part of it, because yeah, there's beauty on top, it's this big blue ocean. When you go underneath, you see it's quite different. And unfortunately, when we look at zones that have been sanctuary for now, a big issue is that from island to island, it's just a desert. So if one island is extracted from beyond its recovery point, nothing's going to migrate into that area to repopulate it. So places like Figure 8 are unique. One half is sanctuary, one half is fished. So it's going to be very interesting to see for us in 5 years and 10 years' time what actually happens when we do provide some degree of protection to this information that we need to say we want. We don't have, but we'll get it in that period of time. The other final point is that, say, when we look at Great Southern Oceans, this marine park is part of that sort of whole complex. The Southern Ocean's got about $3.5 million of research funding in the last financial year to If you go to Great Barrier Reef, they got $35 million of research. So once we have a park here, that's the sort of money that will flow to the park, to the community, to some people who need to be taken out in boats, so there's commercial opportunities there as well. And that'll be ongoing. So we need to, I think, as another gentleman mentioned, we need to look at the opportunities that we haven't had as a result of the marine park, rather than look at deficiencies, which are easy to look at. Human nature looks for negatives. I think we need to start looking for the positives.
Because there were speakers against your motion, you have the right of reply as the member.
The Fisheries Minister himself said that the marine park was not about fish sustainability of the fish resources, and that was in an article in the Kalgoorlie Miner. So if it's not about that, then why are they? The only thing that the marine park's going to restrict is fishing in certain areas. So it's not about fish sustainability. And we are positive, and we are working as a group, and the majority of the electors in this shire are part of that group, and we're going to keep going.
That brings the debate to a close. Can I ask all those in favour to raise your hand and keep them raised, because I'm not sure how close this is going to be. I need an opportunity to try and make an accurate count. All those in favour of the motion, please. That's a majority. That motion is carried. Are there any other questions or motions from the floor?
My name is Colin Ingram and I live on South Coast Highway in Chadwick, and I move a motion that Council take a more proactive role in engaging the state environmental agencies on environmental and conservation issues in the Shire of Esperance. And 2, the Council meet with the Minister for Environment and raise concerns about the performance of state environmental agencies operating in the Shire of Esperance. And 3, the Council invite the key environmental agencies to participate in a quarterly or regular forum with Council to inform it about current activities that can raise important issues and questions.
Is there a second to for that motion? Would you like to speak to your motion?
While the state holds responsibility for important environmental and conservation initiatives across the Shire has a complementary role in managing land that also has environmental and biodiversity values. Effective management of the environment and related issues requires cooperation and coordination between the Shire and these agencies. What I see is not that, but ongoing frustration, tension, which often escalates to disagreement and outrage. Some of this is the fault of both parties, but more often the state government doesn't take the local government seriously, fails to listen and understand the local perspective, and quite often uses its power to get what it wants. There are plenty of examples to touch on. We've recently dealt with the matter of roadside vegetation removal and proposed local law to impose a penalty on landholders that seek to take advantage of road reserves for their own benefit. I've engaged directly with Walga, who are working hard to effect change within DWER. I would encourage the Shire to work with Walga staff on this issue as it has a reasonable chance of bringing about much needed change. The community engagement process for the South Coast Marine Park was a total fiasco with a failure to understand community. Let's put that episode behind us and move on. As the marine park operations kick into gear over the next 12 months, the Shire should take an active role in monitoring the activities of fisheries and DBCA to ensure that they work together for the benefit of our community. The Shire could play an important role. Stokes, Cape LeGrand and Cape Barrow National Parks are very significant and growing economic assets for Esperance. The economic impact of those parks would be in the vicinity of $50 to $100 million per annum. It's our natural asset that drives our local economy. This is new money. It's not circulating money. and it flows through our entire community. Though it was promised many years ago that during the introduction of entry fees to South Coast parks, the revenue would be hypothecated, in other words, returned to the district, changes in staff and leadership have forgotten that promise. Unfortunately, much of the direct revenue generated by park fees and camping fees now ends up in the regional office in Albany. Cape LeGrand has become the cash cow for the region, yet parts of the park, especially the walking trails in LeGrand and the road into Cape Arab, need significant upgrades. The campground at Thomas River is in serious decline and is well overdue for complete renewal. Staffing levels are not consistent with maintaining the assets of those parks. The Esperance district is the forgotten district. The Shire should revisit the revenue commitment with DBCA. Lake Warden is part of an international wetland of importance. It's part of a signatory to the Ramsar Agreement for migratory birds. Yet the condition of Lake Warden continues to deteriorate. The salt levels are extremely high and the environmental values and character of the water body are no longer consistent with the designation ascribed to it. Salt water has now penetrated private property. Many trees adjacent to the lake have or are dying. Again, Lake Warden is a community asset. The Shire is seeking to reconstruct Pink Lake and return it to its previous pinkness. And in doing so, help restore Lake Warden. Then it will need to work closely with DBCA to move salt water from Warden to Pink Lake. This can be a huge win-win project, but will require cooperation and coordination of that effort. Coastal access, coastal degradation is another matter that the Shire, State and the Shire both consider as a vexed issue. The problem just gets worse and there appears to be little action to address the problem. There are many areas throughout the Shire where a coordinated approach, especially around policy, but also in operations, that could go a long way to fixing this issue. I could go on and discuss feral animals such as horses, foxes, cats and deer and the impact of these areas on the precious native flora and fauna and the sensitive hydrological functions, but perhaps another day. The Shire has the prerogative to remain at arm's length for those that are perceived to be the responsibility of state government. But I think that this is an application of the Shire's responsibilities to participate in the effective management and protection of what is a community asset, not just seen as a state asset and responsibility. My point is that the Shire has a role in taking on these issues and engaging firmly but respectfully with DBCA, Fisheries and DWR. Perhaps the first step is to set a meeting with the Minister after the election and lay out some of the issues and the need for better cooperation and coordination. We deserve better and it's time to expect it, not wait for it because it won't happen if we don't. I hope that the Shire is open to taking a more active role in engaging more formally with the State Environmental Agency with the view to keeping them true to their obligations to maintain and improve the community's environmental assets. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for speaking to your motion. Is there a speaker against that motion? Would the seconder like to speak to the motion?
Thank you. I think it was very clearly articulated that Esperance has a real opportunity here with the natural assets we have in order for multiple levels of government to work cooperatively. And one of the areas that I think is really going to be important moving forward is with the creation of the marine park. There is something called, the acronym is FRCMA, and it is up to the Fisheries, Department of Fisheries and the Minister for Fisheries to provide financial compensation to commercial fishers for any losses that happen because of a marine park. Now, since the beginning of the marine park planning process, we have known that fishers believe that the FRCMA system has not been fair over the years. And WAFIC has been working hard to try and bring about change to the way commercial fishers are financially compensated for their losses. We're not sure what's happened. We know Manu Daniels from this community is on the WAFIC board, and that was something they were actively working towards. And at the beginning of the process, there was a commitment by the Director General of Fisheries to try and improve that compensation process. But over the past 3 years, we have heard nothing from the DG of Fisheries or from the Minister as to what they have done to help the fishers feel more confident that the FRCMA system will provide them the compensation that they need and that they deserve for any losses they experience because of losses to parts of their fishing grounds. So I think that's an opportunity if we can just move forward where we are now and focus our energy on positive things that we can help the community through this process, because it's not going to stop and it's not going to change, and I think we're just wasting energy. But if the Shire would be willing to meet with the Minister for Fisheries, and those are the sorts of activities where I think positive energy could help this community for a better outcome.
I'll ask again if there's a speaker against the motion.
Yeah. See, the only problem that I see with paying out commercial fishermen for lost ground is what about their mental health? That's going to it's going to impact their family and all that sort of stuff as well. They look after their spots. We have, for 25 years plus that I know of, we've looked after our spots like nothing, more than you'd ever believe. I come from Perth, and I've seen Rec West change like 1 Dewey per person to two Deweys per person, and we went to 1 Dewey per person because there was not enough Deweys in the ocean. And now we're allowed 4 on the boat. Where's the science? Where's the science in that? That's what I'm wondering. And where's the science in this?
Because there was a speaker against the motion, I would agree with the right of reply. Yes, we also get a copy of the motion afterwards. All right, I take it we're ready to vote. All those in favour for that motion, please raise your hand. All of those against? That motion has failed. Is there any other questions, or Mrs. Rawlinson?
Karina Rawlinson. I'd like to just ask a question for clarification on the Shire's actual authority over the marine park issue. I'd like to clarify that I'm neither for or against it. It just seems that there's been some public confusion, possibly influenced by lack of transparency in the narrative shared by certain community leaders. Could the Shire clarify its role in this state government matter to ensure that the community has an accurate understanding?
The acting CEO would like the acting Shire President to take that one. In a nutshell, our responsibility to the community was to advocate on behalf of the whole community throughout the process and to try and ensure that our community's views were represented. I understand that not everyone feels like we did a good job in that, but I can assure you that I've been on council 6 years, and right from the very beginning, all we did was advocate on behalf of this community, and people didn't see that because they're not supposed to, because we did it in the meetings. And we did, however, issue a whole heap of media releases post-meetings because you're not there to hear what we're saying and see how we're standing up for the community. We also tried not to divide the community because our job is to represent the whole community, and tonight shows that there is a wide variety of views. So the Shire's position was not to be for or against the marine park, it was to represent the whole community in our submission, which we spent a very long time on trying to find a balance between how different communities felt. And we stand by the submission that we lodged. We felt like we worked really hard to hear what people had to say and to make a submission that was reflective of everyone's views. We are, however, to answer your question, not the state government. We can neither impose or not impose a marine park. That is the state government's marine park. So if you want to make a change there, you can have your opinion on March the 8th when there's a state election.
Yep.
So where do we go?
To the polling booth.
I'll spread the
Are
word.
there any more questions or a motion from the floor? There's one at the back, please.
Hi, Michelle Gale from Houston Investments in Cape Parrot. I refer to this article published online on February 2nd by ABC Esperance. The article states that the iconic pink lake on Middle Island, Lake Hillier, has lost its characteristic colour due to, and I quote, human-induced climate change. The article goes on to report that the local tribe and other stakeholders are working on a project to pump brine from another nearby lake. This is Middle Island we're talking about, not Pink Lake. From another nearby lake to speed up the lake's return to the colour pink, thus rendering it fit for purpose as a tourist attraction much sooner than if it were left to naturally evaporate. Could the Shire of Esperance please explain how the inescapable use of fossil fuels to access the island, to carry out this human intervention, and subsequent use of fossil fuel boats, helicopters and aircraft to then view the outcome is a responsible and ethical use of ratepayers' money? And by this I mean, I'm not sure if a grant has been given. Is it the Shire? Isn't it the Shire? Is it Lake Hillier? Is it Pink Lake? As the previous gentleman kind of alluded to, Pink Lake in Esperance. Thanks.
Thank you. I think the article, if that's how the article was worded, has made a mistake in their reporting. Lake Hillier on Middle Island, did I get that right?
Yep.
Has lost its pink hue since excessive rainfall events in 2022, and there's nothing that the Shire is planning to do about that. Nature will take its course and that will restore its pink hue in due course all by itself. Pink Lake near Lake Warden, on the other hand, was overmined for salt, and that is the reason it's lost its pink colour, and the Shire has been working with DBCA on a plan to pump brine from Lake Warden into Pink Lake. We did go out for funding to the federal government and that funding was rejected. So we are aware we need to do something about that. It is a major tourist attraction that's loved by locals. We have a plan. We've worked with DBCA and scientists on an actual science evidence-based plan. We just need the money for it. We are working on it.
Can I just
Follow-up question?
Could you perhaps just contact the ABC and clarify that then? Because I can provide you with but it's complete misinformation there. And
Our media officers are in the room and nodding heads that yes, that will happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the floor or motions?
Hello there. My name's Peter Paxton. I'm a long-time resident out in the Mile Beach Road area and been going to Live Mile Beach for many years and seen lots of changes and lots more people coming there. This January, you couldn't get anywhere near the beach. Cars were right up the road and what have you, which is great. It's well promoted at the Tourist Bureau, social media, etc., etc. But what's lacking is ablution facilities. So I'd like to move a motion for consideration to put ablution facilities out there similar to Observatory Beach. Yeah, that's the crux of my motion.
Thank you for that. Is there a seconder for that motion?
Oh,
We have a seconder. Would you like to speak to the motion?
no, I just think it's a great idea, so, yeah.
Thank you. The mover, would you like to speak for your motion to install ablutions at 11 Mile Beach?
Sorry?
I think I said most of it in the previous, what I said and what have you. We've got great beaches down here, spectacular, everybody knows that. But it's I won't say it's antisocial behaviour, but a lot of backpackers get out there, a lot of people get out there with kids and the likes of that, and people have to go to the toilet. It's ablution facilities, and even on from that, and this can be included in the motion as well, there needs to be bins considered at just about all the places out there. 11 Mile, 10 Mile, Observatory Beach. Like the rubbish truck goes to Twilight one day, and it goes another day right out to Southern Ocean Estate and what have you. Surely within the whole, this is more an operational issue, surely there's consideration there could be for bins on some of those parks, because plenty of rubbish gets dropped in the bush because we've picked it up for years. So from an operational point of view, bins could be considered at all the parks there, but there needs to be consideration for ablution facilities at 11 Mile. And even at some of the other beaches, say that there's facilities at 11 Mile. I've got another motion as well, but if we can do this one to death, we can go from there.
Would someone like to speak against the motion to install ablutions and bins at 11 Mile Beach? Would the seconder like to speak for the motion?
Just on the toilets issue is a great idea because you find human waste in the bush. So I think it's a terrific idea and I second it.
With there being no speakers against that motion, I take it you're ready to vote. All those in favour? That is carried. Someone said there was another motion coming from the floor. Oh, you had another motion? We'll take your next motion, and if you can raise your hand later if you've got another motion. I thought we had someone at the back as well. What's your next motion, please, Peter?
Right. I'm a long-time resident of Pink Lake, etc., etc., etc. I border Keenan's Road South, which is a dirt road, which is a one-way cul-de-sac. It's about 5 kilometres of dirt road. We've got Keenan's Road North from the other end, and there's probably about 1.5 kilometres. It's in the Shire's priority level of, yes, we'll get around to doing it, but we haven't actually got around to doing it yet. I just want consideration for joining the two sections of Keenan's Road together. I think it's well and truly overdue.
So the motion is to join two sections of Keenan's Road together?
That's it, please.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Would you like to add anything further to speak to that motion?
Hi, my name is Kelly Pope and I live in the area as well. There is a substantial amount of traffic, especially a lot of tourists come through there. They don't look at the no-through road option, so they go up there with their caravans and they turn around and they're coming back again. So I think something, I don't know if it's HEMA Maps or Google Maps or something, but they're saying it's a through road and they're getting stuck and they're turning around. So yeah, it might be a good idea to do a through road.
I'll take that as the speaker for the motion. Thank you. Would the seconder like to speak for the motion?
Kelly was the seconder.
Oh, you were the seconder? Okay, sorry. Anyone who wants to speak against the motion? A speaker for the motion?
I support Peter's motion. I think that with the threat of bushfires in our area, having a dead-end road is a risk to the residents in that area if they have to get out quickly. Having the road joined would give them options if they need to evacuate, so I think it's very important.
Thank you for that. There was no speaker against the motion, so I take it you're ready to vote. All those in favour? That is carried. Are there any further questions from the floor or any further motions from the floor? Councillor Graham.
Thank you. Probably appropriate time to talk about it with the last comment there. As you know, we've had some fires recently in the outskirts within 35 kilometres down. as a member of the Dahlia Fire Brigade, spent the weekend out fighting fires in pretty ordinary conditions. So, at this stage, I've got a letter from the captain of our fire brigade I'd like to read out. Firstly, before I read it out, I'd like to congratulate the volunteers, all the volunteers, and the support of those volunteers for the effort they've made. There was an aerial photo that went up this morning, and the indication of the amount of asset, if you like, farmland lost and fences lost was very well minimised. Obviously, got into the bush at the bottom, which was burnt 9 years ago about, and made its merry way down the beach and burnt a fair bit of bush out again. But I'd just like to congratulate the bushfire volunteers for minimising the damage that was caused, and say yeah, so well done. And that's obviously, as you've seen in the press, we had a death a bit over 12 months ago. We had a very near accident on this fireground on this day. So this brings the letter to the table tonight. This is probably more a statement, more than a motion. I'd like to bring to the Shire's attention the severity of the lack of access we have just had on Murray Road fire in Dahlia. Local residents below the ignition point were trapped and had no way out, putting them in extreme danger. And those of us that arrived to fight this fire had to drive through active fire to evacuate residents and fight the fire. As the fire intensified and tracked to the east, which was later at night, we then had no access through Telegraph Road. It was Everett Road that was completely overgrown with boggy sand and tracks that went past them. In this instance, we had to wait for a dozer to push an access line through the farmland to get fire trucks and machinery into the next farm as the fire approached. Luckily, there was some machinery close by, and the time lost was not severe. Just add to that many resources had to take about a 35-kilometre round trip to get in front of the fire to get the manpower that was required when it moved to the next farm. However, this has brought to my attention that there are roads within our shire that need to be maintained as a minimum as a fire access road. I would like to invite the shire to reach out to our local brigades for submissions on the roads requiring maintenance for fire access. I feel this topic is utmost important to our community safety and needs to be dealt with in a timely manner. This lack of access could have cost people their lives and probably not afford the Shire's response. So that's from Scott Lawrence, Dahlia Fire Brigade. So thanks for taking that. And I know there's a system as a chair of the VFAC committee, and I know there's we will take this back to there, but I just thought it was a timely comment that about our volunteers and a very dry year, extremely dry year as a farmer. I know that because a lot of animals get hungry and out there, but it is the case that it's a dry situation. And hopefully we're at the end of these. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Graham, and I will take that as a statement, and I think it's entirely appropriate in your position as the chair of the Bushfire Advisory Committee that you would bring that statement to this meeting in a timely fashion after everything that's happened. And on that note, I would like to echo your gratitude to our first responders. We've had 2 deaths and 4 fires in a month, and it's the first responders in this community that go and put their lives on the line to try and save people's lives, or in the event of a death, to recover the body for the families. So thank you to all our volunteers, our first responders, whether it's coastal safety or bushfires. We're grateful that you serve and protect our community, and thank you for representing them. We look forward to receiving that formally through the next BFAC meeting. And there being no further public questions or motions, I will bring the meeting to a close, but not before I thank everyone for coming tonight, and thank you for the quality of your debate and your discussion. There was a lot of differing views, and people articulated their thoughts well and expressed their views with respect and kindness, and I'm really proud of our community and appreciate that you exercised your democratic rights tonight. and we've heard you, and all of these motions will come to council at the February OCM for consideration by council. So, thank you.